Oh boy, this may be the biggest development in the Vancouver Canucks Elias Pettersson trade discourse all year. Did Elias Pettersson prevent a trade to the Pittsburgh Penguins? Is he in the process currently of preventing a trade to the Pittsburgh Penguins? Now, I know what you may be thinking, Lego, what are you talking about? Pittsburgh? Pettersson's name hasn't been linked to Pittsburgh all year, and that is absolutely the case. When you think about Pettersson, you think about trade rumors, you think about all the videos that we made, you think about all the conversations we had. Those conversations surrounded teams like the LA Kings, the Detroit Red Wings, even the Montreal Canadiens, but now, seems like a new challenger has entered the mix. At first glance, you may wonder, why would the Pittsburgh Penguins be interested in going after guys that are 27 years old, like Elias Pettersson? They've got an old core, and they need to be transitioning into younger players, right? Sidney Crosby, he may not be around forever, although, to be honest, it feels like he actually has a chance to be. He's that good. But Malkin, Carlson, Letang, these guys are the core members in Pittsburgh, and they are quite old. So insulate the youth. Bring in Nick Robertson. Bring in Ben Kindle. Bring in Igor Chinikov. Get these guys onto the team and give them a great surrounding cast of leadership to bolster the future of their careers. But you know who else was brought into Pittsburgh earlier this offseason? Andrei Kuzmenko. With that said, let's go out there and talk about what Elliotte Friedman posted on 32 Thoughts, and then we'll dive into some conversations proposed by Penguins beat reporters, because they all surround Elias Pettersson out of Vancouver. Elliotte wonders about Pettersson and the Penguins. As he said earlier on 32 Thoughts, the podcast, Kyle Dubas loves reclamation projects. Crosby and Malkin are winding down. Kuzmenko is signed in Pittsburgh. A lot of it makes sense. I wonder if a 2027 first and Ryan Graves is enough. NHL Watcher expanded with more of Friedman's thoughts. Where could you go that might be a good fit for you? I don't know. But I wonder if the Penguins with Crosby and Malkin might be good for Elias Pettersson. Now, things got even more interesting when JFresh posted this on his own Twitter account. He said, I believe that Kyle Dubas really likes Jason Robertson and really wishes that he was on the Penguins, but I still believe that the Pens offseason is building up to an Elias Pettersson trade. Now, JFresh, not necessarily an insider, but definitely a noted Penguins fan and somebody who is in the know about some stuff. JFresh then said, I also feel like the holdup could be on Pettersson's end. He has to waive his no-trade clause. Back at the end of the season, Dubas literally had a line about how Pittsburgh is a great destination for a player in their late 20s with a no-trade. It might be tougher to pitch the idea to Elias Pettersson than it is to Vancouver. Here is the quote from Kyle Dubas. I think if you're one of those players that's a free agent, or your situation in your spot is not going well and you have some control, you can look at us here in Pittsburgh and see very clearly that you're going to be supported by a great coaching staff that gets the most out of players, Dubas said. But you'll also have young players that are going to push from behind and older players that are going to set the tone. That's a pretty direct quote from Kyle Dubas, talking about how the Penguins could be seen as a destination for guys in your late 20s with trade protection. And in fact, Josh Yohei, out of Pittsburgh Hockey Now, said, ding, 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 on Twitter, essentially confirming that this may be the case here. Now, I'm not saying JFresh isn't an insider, but Josh Yohei certainly is. And if Pittsburgh beat reporters are going out there and insinuating that a potential Elias Pettersson trade to Pittsburgh is being held up by Pettersson, not necessarily accepting right away, that is very, very interesting. Canucks News Summaries went out there and posted about this. Josh Yohei is a senior writer for The Athletic who covers the Penguins, and he said ding 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 over here. I wonder what that deal looks like. Well, Canucks News Summaries went out there and provided a summary as to whether or not that looks like this. The Penguins are in a good cap situation, currently at $17.86 million in cap space, with only Nick Robertson as an RFA. They should have around $14 million in cap space. They also have 2 salary offset candidates in Ryan Graves, who's making $4.5 million per season for 3 years, and Blake Lizotte, whose $2.25 million per season contract is also 3 years long. Including them would increase the return. For the next 3 drafts, the Penguins have 3 firsts and 7 seconds. Their prospect pool is solid. From Horkoff, Branicki, and Zanen, these guys stand out. Now, I would also beg to question whether or not there is another prospect or 2 that makes a lot of sense that the Pittsburgh Penguins just recently ended up drafting in the 2026 NHL Entry Draft. I mean, I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but there have been some people going out there insinuating, hey, if an Elias Pettersson trade is possible, and if the Pittsburgh Penguins are a destination that are worth thinking about, maybe there's 1 or 2 prospects that would mean a lot more to Vancouver if they were to be included. There have been some people going out there and asking about Liam and Marcus Rock. Could they be a trade return tandem for EP40 in some sort of a blockbuster move? Maybe you think about Ryan Graves. Maybe you think about the Rocks. Honestly, if you're including both of these guys, I don't even care about draft picks. Just do whatever you can to get Marcus and Liam into Vancouver colors, although, of course, these guys were just drafted like a week ago. They're not going to get traded right away. But if this Pettersson-Pittsburgh thing keeps on building up towards that conclusion, maybe there is a deal to be discussed that is worth talking about. Alex Blair went out there and posted about this as well. There is smoke growing in Pittsburgh, and it appears that Pettersson may be the holdup. Farhan Lalji responded. He said this was always going to be a huge variable, and why the West Coast teams were always favored here. Location and volume matters to Pettersson and his family, probably more so than winning. Now that last line is pretty interesting. Oh, what do you mean that this matters more to you than winning? I mean, Elias Pettersson is a young guy who is recently married, who is trying to start a family, who is wanting to build that family here in the West Coast. That makes a lot of sense. Hockey ain't just about hockey, if you get what I'm saying. Life ain't just about hockey, if you want it to go more literal. Another reply goes out there and asks whether or not this actually makes sense. Do you think there is any substance to all of this Pettersson-Pittsburgh talk? Given that this is coming from Friedman and a Pittsburgh writer has confirmed that they have heard something a couple of weeks ago, I think it is at least worth speculating on. So, yeah, Pittsburgh. Sidney Crosby, Elias Pettersson, Andrei Kuzmenko, does that make sense in your brain? You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Is Pettersson a reasonable candidate for the Penguins to go out there and target? Would you like to see him and Andrei Kuzmenko tear it back up on Pittsburgh's second line? Maybe with Evgeny Malkin as their other winger. Who really knows? That sounds like a really interesting way to do your business if you are Kyle Dubas. And they've got so many draft picks. They've got so many prospects, not even just the Rucks, but all these firsts and all these seconds. There can be a really nice return for Vancouver if Pittsburgh is willing to do the deed. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about these Elias Pettersson to Pittsburgh trade talks. Elliot Friedman started it. We're continuing it here on the YouTube channel. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.